What's up, guys? It is Sunday morning, so we're going to jump back on the CD collection. Hopefully, this will be the last video for a while that you have to see me in these glasses. I am missing my contact lenses immensely, and hopefully my new ones will be in this week. First up, we have some kind of psychedelic sludge metal is the best way I know to put this. This is Minsk with their full length entitled With Echoes and the Movement of Stone. This is definitely my favorite full length from this band. It is the only full length that I own, so that kind of works out. I actually bought this on eBay several years ago, and shortly after I purchased it, I received a duplicate copy in a Relapse Records grab bag, and it seemed like everybody got a copy of this in those those earlier Relapse grab bags. And unfortunately, I could have just waited and got it in that, or got it for a lot cheaper because the price went down substantially. But regardless, it is a pretty solid album. I do like this. As I was saying, it's very sludgy, kind of progressive sludge metal, psychedelic sludge. Pretty good album. Next up, we have a band. I forget where this band is from. I got this from Season of Mist. It's actually pretty solid. This is Minus Human with Blood Throne. I was expecting something super like metalcore-ish. When I saw that artwork, I thought it was going to be something I really wasn't going to be into. But this is more of like a melodic death metal. Gets very thrashy at times, and it turned out to be much better of a release than I thought it was going to be. I actually enjoyed this quite a bit. So that is Minus Human is the name of that band. Next up, we have some kind of raw black metal. I believe this band's out of Germany. This is Mirage Asylum with In Remembrance of the Olden Days. Pretty good full length here. It is numbered. It's 150. I don't know how many. It just has number 150 written there on the back. I don't know how many were actually pressed on this. I believe I got this from Paragon Records. Could be way off on that, but that in my head, that's where I remember picking this up from. Pretty solid black metal release. I do like this one from what I remember. It was on Wolfman Productions, so you know you're getting something kind of raw and aggressive coming from that label. Next up, we have a band out of Russia. This is their debut full length entitled Eternal Forgiveness. This is Mirror Morianis, I believe is how you pronounce that. This is by far my favorite release from this band. It was released in 2013. It's kind of gothic doom death, I guess is the best way to put this. It's very doomy, kind of goth doom, and you get the death metal sprinkled in, definitely in the vocals here and there, but like music wise, you get that kind of doom death feel going on in it as well. Looking at that band, it doesn't, like, don't judge it. I don't know how well the camera's gonna, but like when I see that band photo, it just doesn't scream to me something that I would really be into. But I super enjoyed this album, and it was like the last, I guess the only release from this band that I really just got super into. This was released on Endless Winter Productions out of Russia as well. I did pick up the follow-up to that entitled Last Winter Tolls, and I was pretty let down with this one. As you can see, the band kind of dwindled down a bit. You had that big photo there in the first album, and you're down to 2 in this one. And I think you can kind of feel it music-wise. This came out only 2 years later, but it just kind of fell flat for me. They had 2 other full lengths, one that came out I think in 2017 and one in 2019. I haven't heard the newest one yet, so maybe I will check that one out at some point. But this one just let me down enough that I really hadn't sought out more of their material. Next up, we have a band out of, I believe they're out of California. I'm assuming around the Oakland area. I said error. This is Mirror of Dead Faces with their full length entitled Lamentation. It is the only full length that this band put out. They are kind of melodic death metal fused with deathcore. I know that may turn some people off, but it actually is a pretty solid, I mean, it's a pretty decent release. I picked this up in a Facebook group several years ago, many years ago, and It was a blind buy at the time, but I wasn't too let down with it. It came out, I think, in 2008. Was, I guess, self-released. It still has the MySpace. No, it was on Creator Destructor Records. It has but it has the MySpace link there on the back, so you know this one's been out for a little bit when you still see the MySpace web pages there on the back. But pretty good. I mean, I do still have some deathcore sprinkled into the collection here and there. No shame. Next up, we have Mirror of Deception with Foregone. This is some doom metal. I forget what this band. Germany. A lot of Germany in this video so far. This is the only full length that I own from this band. I think it might be like their second or third full album. Pretty good doom metal. Traditional doom. Kind of has that epic doom vibe going on in it as well. I think this was sent to me in a package with some other stuff that a buddy that used to do videos here on YouTube sent to me. And I do enjoy it. I would like to hear some of their other material, but I do remember liking this one quite a bit. Next up, we have 3 releases from a Redstream band, a band that you guys see, especially if you follow me on social medias, you see the big Paragon Records hauls that I get in of the underground and obscure stuff. Redstream used to be my go-to for stuff like that. Even back before I was doing YouTube and that type stuff, I used to just do these big bulk blind buy orders from Redstream and find new bands and underground and obscure stuff that way. And this is one of those bands that I found through Redstream, and I'm very glad I did, because I still listen to this band to this day. This is a band out of Switzerland. This is Mirror Throne with their debut entitled Of Wind and Weeping. Pretty good. Symphonic black and death metal is the best way that I know to put this band. They get a little atmospheric here and there, but it is solid stuff. If you haven't heard Mirror Throne, I definitely suggest that you check them out. If you're into if something black and death with like the symphonic and even atmospheric elements sounds like something that you would might listen to and you haven't heard this band, I definitely advocate for you checking them out. If you're going to listen to something, this is going to be the album, their second one, that I highly recommend. It is definitely my favorite of their releases. This is Mirror Throne with Carriers of Dust. And you even get a butterfly woman with some boobies there on the cover as well. So you can't go wrong with that. This one was released in 2006. So it's been out for a while. But as I was saying, this was back way before I ever even thought about doing YouTube videos for my collection or anything. I was picking up stuff from Redstream. And you'll still see stuff that I purchased from way back then sprinkled into the collection. I will try to bring that up when I get to them, just for the simple fact that that was the way that I was finding all this obscure stuff way back in the day. And then I have I think this is their last full length. This one is entitled Gangrene. This one's pretty good as well. It's probably my least favorite of the 3 that I own, but that being said, it is still one that I could throw on the stereo right now and still enjoy. So even probably their lowest tier album for me is still something enjoyable. So that says a lot about how much I like that band. Let me take a swig, and we'll go from Switzerland to Russia, back to Russia. This is a death metal band out of Russia. This is a band called Miscreant. This is their debut, I guess, demo entitled Inside the Beyond. This one's pretty good. I do dig this demo quite a bit. It was originally released in 1996. This is a 2004 reissue. I think you can still find these fairly cheap, even though they've been out, for over 20 years, or right at 20 years as far as the reissue goes. But definitely recommend picking this one up if you're going to get into Miscreant. They have that definite 90s death metal vibe going on, and if you're with this old school death metal revival going on, I'm surprised more people haven't returned back and started listening to this band. I have their first full length. This one is entitled Occult Philosophy. I like this one quite a bit as well. This was originally released in '98, and of course, this is another one of those reissues that came out in 2004. I found these Miscreant albums for next to nothing online, and I'm sure you guys probably can too. The demo is where it's at for me, but this one is pretty good. But that demo, I definitely recommend you pick that up. And then I have their second full length. This one is entitled Oppressive. I wasn't super into this one, to be quite honest with you. I was a little let down by this particular release. It came out in 2002. They have another full length that came out, I think, in 2012 or 2013. I'm not particularly sure on those. I may have to go grab that at some point just for the sake of being collector scum and a completionist. And it shouldn't be that hard or that expensive to hunt down and kind of fill that spot in the collection. Move some stacks around and we'll continue along. Next up, we have kind of metalcore, hardcore. Definitely leans into the hardcore side of metalcore. This came out in 2015. Man, time flies. This is Misgiver with Loathing. I haven't listened to this one in quite some time. This is another one that I purchased in that Facebook group that I picked up, the Mirror of Dead Faces full length in as well. I haven't purchased anything in that group in quite some time, but I've kind of moved on. They kind of mainly focus on vinyl and stuff in that group now, and a lot of the stuff is just outrageously priced. I'm more into death metal and black metal and that type stuff now, so metalcore, deathcore, and all that just doesn't really get as much attention from me as it used to. Next up, we have some crust punk. This is Miss Cadaver with a Manifestum Ravis. I got this in a mystery box or a grab bag. It's not bad. It's not something that I would just normally gravitate towards. It is. I said crust punk. It definitely has like some crossover vibes going on in this as well. It's not bad from what I remember. I mean, you can kind of get that hardcore vibe going on from that, just from the artwork and everything. But it's not bad. It's just not something that's usually in my general wheelhouse of what I tend to listen to for the most part. Next up, we have an international band. I think they're officially listed as from Germany. They're split up now, but this is some progressive metal. This is Missa Mercuria with their self-titled release, and I actually really like this. This came out in 2002 on Generation Records, and this is something on paper that most people would think I would not be into at all, and I don't know what it is about it. It's not heavy at all. It kind of leans more into like a progressive rock feel as opposed to progressive metal, kind of holding hands right there together, progressive rock and progressive metal on this particular release. But there's just something about this one that just sinks its hooks in me and keeps me coming back to it. And I still like this album. So there you go. That's me approving some progressive metal. That doesn't happen, or even progressive rock. That doesn't happen just too terribly often. Next up, we have a band out of Sweden. They are depressive symphonic black metal, I guess is the best way I know to put this band. This is Mist of Misery with their Temple of Still Voices EP. This is a reissue through Black Line Records. The reissue came out in 2017. I think the original, this was originally released probably around in 2013, but this is, as I said, the reissue through Black Line Records. Very solid. I love me some Mr. Misery. You guys know that. I want to pick up their first full length, but it is it's so hard to come by, and if you do find it for sale anywhere, it's super expensive. So hopefully it'll get a reissue treatment at some point in the future. Next up, I have the Absence full length. Very solid. I think this was actually the release that got me into Mist of Misery. I purchased this from Oliver over at Black Line Records very early on with me doing YouTube. I remember getting into this band, so kind of has a nostalgic feel for me as well. It came out in 2016. Very good release. If you haven't heard this one or this band in particular, I do recommend Mist of Misery. This would be a good place to start. It was where I started for the band, so if you want to get into them, I would start with Absence as well. Next up, I have the EP entitled, which one is this? Let me take it out of the plastic. It's got a little glare. I can take it out, and that way it'll be a little easier for you guys to see as well. This is Shackles of Life. This one came out in 2017. I think the Absence full length went over so well that they started pressing. That's when more material in 2017. That's when they did the reissue of the prior demo, and then this EP came out. They actually, I think, released two EPs back to back in 2017. Maybe one in 2017 and one in 2018. But I know that they came out very close together. The second one was entitled Fields of Isolation. I like this one quite a bit as well. There we go. In these digipacks. Not the biggest fan of digipacks, but with this artwork, it actually looks pretty good on a digipack, so I will give it that. Then we have the next full length. This one is entitled Unalterable, 2-disc full length. This was a very long album. It is a bit of a journey. It takes a lot. This is one that you want to have to spend some time with. You might not be into it upon first listen. I was kind of hit or miss with it on my first kind of listen to, and then I spent more time with it, more time than I anticipated spending with it. And the more that I listened to it, the more I started to pick up on it, and it actually became one of my favorite releases in their entire discography. But it is something that you want to listen to in its entirety, and it can be a bit of a journey. You have to actually set aside the time to actually do that, so that could be a little off-putting for some people. And then I have their newest full length. This one was released through Non-Servium Records. I think it got slept on by quite a few people, including myself. This one is entitled Severance. It came out last year. I'm glad I have my hands on it now as the seasons are changing. As it starts getting colder, I think this will be a great soundtrack to the seasons changing as we go from autumn into the winter months. I'm glad I have this, and I think I'll be spending a little bit more time with it this year than I did last year. Unfortunately, a bit colder feel on this one than some of the other Mist of Misery releases. Next up, I have some atmospheric black metal. This is a band out of New Zealand. This is Mist Chaser with their only full length so far, entitled Kairos. Very solid. I dig this quite a bit. It was released through Pest Productions, so you're getting some decent quality black metal for sure. It hasn't been out too terribly long, maybe 2021. I'm not entirely sure, and I'm not seeing a date on this. I did pick this up from Paragon Records. This was one of my kind of blind buys on there, and it turned out to be a very good blind buy. I like this one quite a bit. So if you're into atmospheric black metal, there's you some Mist Chaser. Next up, we have some Funeral Doom. This is a band out of Czechia, and I want to hunt down more of their full lengths. Well, I guess more of their early demo stuff. They had some early demo stuff from the early 2000s, but it's damn near impossible to find. And then when you do find it, it's so expensive. But this is a discography that I definitely would like to extend upon within the collection, because it is a band that I really do love. This is Mistress of the Dead. This is their demo entitled I Know Her Face from the Tombstone. Phenomenal full length, a phenomenal demo, and definitely, I guess if you want to start with a band, you could start with this one, with it even being a demo. I will show my favorite release in a couple of more releases that I'm going to show, but this is just very depressive, very dark Funeral Doom metal. I mean, that seems a bit redundant to say that about Funeral Doom, but it's so good. Next up, we have their full length entitled Weeping Silence of the Dead by Mistress of the Dead, obviously. And I just want to add so much more of this into my collection. It's not fair that it's so hard to find some of their stuff. Kind of theme going on with that prior demo and this full length. It just has the cemetery angels and stuff in the artwork. Next up, we have my favorite full length from this band. This was actually my introduction into Mistress of the Dead, and I've been hooked ever since. This is White Roses, White Coffin full length, and it is absolutely phenomenal. This was released through Epitome Records in 2008, so it's been out for a little bit. I may have picked this up from Red Stream back in the day. I don't remember where exactly that I first came across Mistress of the Dead, but I want all of their material. I know I won't get it all, but I need it to live. And then I have the follow-up full length from that entitled Henriette's Message from the Other Shore. Fortunately, this is the only other release from Mistress of the Dead that I own, but even with that artwork, you don't expect this to be as low and depressive as it is. It's kind of misleading with that artwork, but this is a solid release as well. And then the last release I'm going to show you guys today is some Melodeath. This is a band called Mistweaver. There are at least two other bands with that same name. This is the one out of Spain. This is their full length entitled Nocturnal Bloodshed. They have probably 5 or 6. This band's split up now, but they probably have 5 or 6 other full lengths. This is my favorite that I've heard from the band. This one came out in 2014. At some point, I'll pick up some more of their material. This, you could see that how many labels kind of work together for this release. You got Satanith Records, More Hate Productions, Extreme Music, Sever Red, Grim Distribution, and then there's Venom Music, all coinciding on one release. So, I mean, if you got some of those labels working in succession to put something like this out, you know it's pretty good. This was a blind buy for me when I picked it up, but it was a great blind buy because I did good enough to pick up what I think is their strongest full length. So that's Mistweaver with Nocturnal Bloodshed, so definitely check that one out. That's all I've got for this week. I kind of rushed through this one a little bit, but I am starving and I want to go eat. I still have to do my Metal Devastation review and merch haul. Hopefully I'll get that done this week, but that's all I've got for today. Stay classy, stay metal, all that good stuff, and I will see you guys very soon, I promise.